It's a little Faith No More for your Friday morning, only on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station. Good morning, Vaqueros. This is DJ Doc V. You're tuned into Office Hours. It is Friday, September 26th, 3 minutes after the hour of 10 o'clock. Beautiful day in the upper Rio Grande Valley. 79 degrees currently. We're looking at a high of about 96 today. Looking at the weather forecast, it already feels like 86, and the humidity is high, 86%. Goodness, very little wind. We're not expecting very many breezes today. Presently, the wind's about 4 miles an hour, so it's sticky and hot, and it'll be kind of gross. So stay indoors, stay in the air conditioning if you can. The Faith No More, boy, what a interesting band there. The first track on their third studio album, The Real Thing, released in 1989, and the first single to be released with featuring Mike Patton on vocals. The Faith No More has seen some personnel changes since being founded, actually in the late 70s. Who thought that? I mean, cripes. From San Francisco, California, Faith No More. Formed in 1979, but they had a couple of other names as well. Before September of 1983, they performed under the names Sharp Young Men and later Faith No Man. So, changed titles, changed personnel. They unique kind of band, came around Seattle sound, in the kind of early Seattle sound, I guess you could say, but from San Francisco, kind of along that grunge line. And so, but thanks for tuning in today. We've got some great music picked out for you, as we do every week on Office Hours. We've got This Day in History at the bottom of the hour. And then at about 50 minutes after the hour, I've got a poem picked out for us. I'll be reciting that 50 minutes after the hour or so. Most of our athletic teams are on the road this week, so not a lot going on. The women's swimming and diving teams are engaged in kind of like a scrimmage, the Orange and Gray tournament, which is happening here in Pharr, Texas, at the Natatorium. So if you're looking for some sporting events to attend, the swimming and diving should start here in a couple hours, and then tomorrow at 10 a.m. If you're interested in checking out our women's swimming and diving team. But other teams are on the road, including our football team. They're headed off to Hammond, Louisiana, to play Southwestern Louisiana State, I believe it is. So, we won't be seeing them. I actually had a football player add into one of my classes this semester, so that's kind of fun to cheer them on in the classroom and encourage them before they head out to take those folks on the road, take it on the road. Let's get back to some music here. Right along the lines of the Faith No More. This is a little bit earlier than that, but man, still sharp, still really fun. Joan Jett in the Runaways. Here's Cherry Bomb, only on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student. St. Paul, Minnesota, with Standing in the Rain. That's one of their more mainstream tunes. It came from the Warehouse Songs and Stories album once they got on the big label. But keep in mind, they had a very, very humble beginning. The band of Husker Du formed in St. Paul, 1979. We're talking about guitarist, vocalist Bob Mould, bassist Greg Norton, drummer, vocalist Grant Hart. They started with a very hardcore punk. Consider the year, 1979. The Sex Pistols were a thing, and Dead Kennedys were doing their thing, San Francisco rock. But boy, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the Twin Cities, for punk rock, not necessarily known as fertile fields for that sort of music, but boy, they fit right in. They were on the SST label, actually originally on the Reflex Records, some kind of independent label, and then they went to SST, where one of their first records was a a live album, and like every song was like a minute long. Then Zen Arcade came out in 1984. I first heard, I didn't know about these guys, when originally. But my first year in the military, when I was in school in Virginia, there was a guy I knew who was, I guess, sort of unique, but he introduced me to Husker Du. He introduced me to a few other bands as well, and it really blew my hair back, particularly New Day Rising, that record, which we've played here on Office Hours before. We've played Celebrated Summer. We've played a few other things. So Husker Du with Standing in the Rain from their Warehouse Songs and Stories. Before that, you heard Fortunate Son by Creedence Clearwater Revival. And Cherry Bomb we started it off with the Runaways, Joan Jett on the vocals there. Really, really exciting. Husker Du also, just as in case you're not familiar with it, is a board game. I remember playing it before I knew about the band. I actually had this game. It was, published in the United States in 1950s, where it's basically kind of like a memory game where you have this board that has a bunch of pictures on it. You cover those pictures with checkers, and then you match it. You do that with cards too, but this was a game that you could do. So, that was a lot of fun. So when I heard the name, like, oh, Husker Du, I know what that is. Yeah, sure. Let's see what the weather is right now here in Edinburgh. 79 degrees, feels like 86. We're looking for a high of 96 this afternoon. Coming up the rest of the weekend, we're expecting, again, high 95 tomorrow on Saturday, the 27th of September. And then Sunday, a high of 92. But going back into Monday, once again, 92 with partly cloudy skies and about a 25% chance of rain on Monday. So that would certainly cool things off a bit here in the beautiful Rio Grande Valley. Thanks for tuning in. This is DJ Doc V. You're listening to Office Hours. And how about a little Sonic Youth? We haven't heard them in a while. This one's called Teenage Riot. Only Hurt You, Baby. Only on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station. Thanks for listening to Vaqueros. It's DJ Doc V. We're here till 11 a.m. here in the beautiful upper Rio Grande Valley. And I've got some more music coming at you. But as we do every week on Office Hours, we talk about what happened this day in history. And on this day in history, in 1960, Kennedy and Nixon square off in the first televised presidential debate. I use some of the footage from that debate in my classes, which is it's fascinating, actually. Technology, television, is still a relatively young technology. It's less than 100 years old, and presidential debates put on television changed. Television changed politics in many ways. The political advertising started under Eisenhower. When he was running for his second term, his you like Ike, I like Ike, everybody likes Ike. I show that one in class too. So the Kennedy-Nixon debates are really interesting, very different from today's debates. Today's debates are a lot more like a world wrestling, like a wrestling show. Where there's a crowd and they're cheering, they're booing, they're laughing. I don't know if I like that development personally about debates. Back in 1960, it was just 4 journalists, the 2 candidates sitting in the studio with a moderator. Heck, the candidates didn't even know how to do it right. When they were sitting at the chair and when the journalists started asking questions, there was a podium. There were 2 podiums for the candidates to stand up and talk, to reply to the journalists. But Kennedy was asked the first question, and he started answering while he was sitting down. The moderator had to tell him, "Hey, go up to the podium over there and use the microphone." So, one of the big things that has changed since then, just a little piece of information for you, is that campaigns for president back then were a lot more about the party record and the platform than they were about the candidate. But that changed probably in the 60s, and then again as more and more people got televisions. Go back to the early 70s when the Nixon campaign was a lot more about Nixon than it was about Republicans more generally, and really that's been the case ever since. So certainly different. Also on this day, Olivia Newton-John, born in 1948, the British-Australian singer and Grease actress, was born on this day in 1948. She passed away in 2022. Also born on this day, George Gershwin, the composer, whose Rhapsody in Blue is a fantastic. Maybe we should play that one time. I think it's 20 minutes long now. I don't want to play that on office hours. And also born on this day, Serena Williams, born in 1981. Where was I in 1981? I was in 1981. Oh, gosh, 6th grade? Probably. Something like that. Yeah. Other things that happened on this day in history. In 1580, English seaman Francis Drake returns to Plymouth, England in the Golden Hind, becoming the first British navigator to circumnavigate the globe. In 1820, the famous frontiersman Daniel Boone dies in Missouri. The pioneering frontiersman dies quietly in his sleep at his son's home in near present-day Defiance, Missouri. Also on this day, in 1945, the first soldier killed during Vietnam's August Revolution. Soon after that, the United States would start sending, troops there, or advisors, we should call them, because the full-on Vietnam War didn't really start until probably in the 60s. Although that first U.S. soldier was Lieutenant Colonel Peter Dewey, a U.S. Army officer with the Office of Strategic Services. This was like a precursor to the CIA. He was shot and killed in Saigon on this day in 1945. In 1957, West Side Story opens on Broadway, composed by Leonard Bernstein, opens at the Winter Garden Theater on Broadway. Very groundbreaking musical. This one hits a little bit closer to home. In 1969, The Brady Bunch premieres. American television audiences hear the soon-to-be famous opening lyrics, "Here's the story of a lovely lady." I could probably, I won't sing the whole thing for you. But also, and here's a little UTRGV connection here. In 1975, on this day, the Rocky Horror Picture Show debuts in U.S. theaters. And I don't mind telling you that late next month, starting in October, the first show the UTRGV theater folks are putting on is the Rocky Horror Show, written by Richard O'Brien. Music and lyrics and the story. Originally started off as a stage play, and the movie starring Susan Sarandon, Tim Curry as Frankenfurter, Dr. Frankenfurter, and Brad, played by what's his name again? Oh, I forgot the name off the top of my head. But premiered in theaters in 1975. As a high schooler, I went to that UA Midway on Queens Boulevard in Queens, New York, to see Rocky Horror Picture Show. And boy, I got hooked. I can't say I went every weekend, but I went many, many weekends. And actually took my stepdaughter for her first Rocky Horror Show, took my sister to her first Rocky Horror Picture Show in Manhattan back in not too long ago, 20, I guess it's longer than I want to remember, but took her to her first Rocky Horror Picture Show in Manhattan, so that was really exciting. Hopefully you'll get out there. I'm really anxious to see the stage play that UTIGV is going to put on, so that's really exciting. And that'll be the first showing on October 23rd, and then they have a Halloween showing. Or is it the 30th, not on Halloween, but on the 30th, a 10 p.m. show. So not quite a midnight showing, which is what I'm used to, but, the stage play at 10 p.m. on Halloween's Eve, I guess we could call it. That'll be coming up here on campus, here at the Liberal Arts South building, where we have our Albert Jeffries Theater in the Round, which will be really great. It's a great venue to see a show. So is the Performing Arts Center, if you haven't been there. There's some flamenco guitar coming up next weekend that's going to be performing there. Free admission. So if you haven't been to the Performing Arts Center, it is a fantastic venue to see a show. So I encourage you to do that. But for now, let's get back to the music. And since we brought it down a little bit with Cigarettes After Sex, let's keep the mood mellow. And here's Brandy, You're a Fine Girl by Looking Glass, only on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station. That's Chris Cornell from the Singles soundtrack with a song called Seasons. Chris Cornell, taken from us too soon. He was too young. Also the lead singer for Audioslave and Soundgarden, obviously. But thanks for tuning in, Vaqueros. That was Chris Cornell. Before that, we heard Diary by the band Bread from the 70s. And then Brandy, You're a Fine Girl by Looking Glass. We started off that music set there. Just a few minutes left in office hours, but as we do every week, I've got a poem picked out for you. And, at the stage of the semester, this might be something to take on board and think about. Maybe I know my classes finished their first exam this week. And, maybe people didn't get the grades they were hoping for. But, that happens. There's fits and starts in college. There's peaks and valleys, not just in college, but in life more generally. And so here's a poem from December of 2024, first published by the author Lizzie Bevis. This is a poem titled Small Victories Matter. Not all victories wear medals of gold. Some hide in moments, all overlooked and untold. They were found in a deep sigh, in a smile and through tears when days were long, when you wished for hope and a will to be strong. With each sunrise met when rest felt incomplete, and with each foul day weathered with heavy feet. These too are triumphs, written into each trial, between survival and each mile. When you carried on when it felt too much, found peace in chaos with a patient touch, building castles from the ruins of your plans, and held faith like water cupped in trembling hands. Count the small victories, every single one, each battle fought and silently won. For perseverance begins with each try, and strength lives within the desire to thrive. This year that's passing has been harsh and kind, and left its markings on your mind. Yet here you stand, still breathing deeply, with your hope your heart has learned to keep. In a quiet victory that is yours to hold, worth more than any medal of gold. That's a poem titled Small Victories Matter by Lizzie Bevis, first published in December 2024 here on Vaquero Radio, the Valley's student station. 86 degrees in the upper Rio Grande Valley. Looking for a high of 97 today. Overnight, a high of 74. Yeah, no relief from the heat for us, even though we're closing in on October here. We've got the last week in September coming up. Keep your, keep the shoulder to the wheel, Vaqueros. Make sure that you're keeping up with your work, keeping up with your assignments. Make sure you manage that calendar as best you can, but also take time for yourself. Remember, we need recreation as well. That's part of human needs. So don't cheat yourself out of, being kind to yourself. Do something nice for yourself this week. Don't tell anybody. Just do it. This is DJ Doc V. You're listening to Office Hours. I've got one more song for you. Here's some Ben Folds 5 with a song called Emmeline, only on Vaquero Radio.